wasn't present previously, want to acknowledge the fact that we would also not be here if it wasn't for Senator Summers, who years ago spotted this problem, which may have existed for decades, but hadn't penetrated the consciousness of legislators, and doggedly, insistently kept us on a path to getting to the bottom of these things and creating this task force. I cannot express enough how much we are indebted to her and her efforts that we're finally getting a focus on something that has needed to be changed for so long. And with that, I'll hand off to Senator Summers.
Well, thank you for all those kind words. I would like to personally thank all the members of the task force, because I know it was a very hard job. 2 years of many meetings, and I know a lot of discussions and debates. This is a very complicated issue that touches many different aspects and agencies, as you've heard. Personally, I'd like to thank the chairs, both Linda Schwartz and Mike Lawler, for all your efforts. We would not be here today without you really driving the bus or the force to get everybody to come together to address these issues. And also to Beverly for putting up with me and for all of the time that it has taken her to be able to man this really important committee. With that being said, I wanted to echo some of the things that the co-chair, Jonathan Steinberg, had said about this legislation and why there are certain changes within the language. We have a short session and we're trying to move the needle forward, but we realize that we will need more time to do some of the things that have been recommended. We have included money for the design of a new building, or the request for money. I'm on appropriations, so I will be fighting for that money for the design of a new building, which is absolutely necessary. The building, if you haven't been here on this committee, is something that you imagine a penal detention center of a third world country. It is a building of shadows that has to change. If you had to go to work there every day, you may end up being a patient there. It is so bad. It actually took my breath away how horrible the conditions of someone having to work there, or someone actually who is supposed to be there getting help would be placed in. And it has stuck with me, and I am determined to help try to move that needle in a place that we can be proud of here in the state of Connecticut. We have, as Linda has stated before, Yale is very involved in this, going all over the world, telling everybody how mental health should work. And we are not taking care of our own backyard. And it is embarrassing. It is a stain that has to be removed from the state of Connecticut. And I think we have an opportunity to be the shining star of what mental health for those who are, committed civilly, or also through reasons of not guilty for reasons of insanity, have an opportunity for a life moving forward and to heal and to get better. And I think the conditions of which you live are part of that healing process for those who are there, and also for those who work in those conditions. But it's not all of it. There's a culture there that must be changed. And we are hopeful that some of the very specific things you have recommended, we can help facilitate that change, although it may take another session to be able to really push that forward. And I just wanted to touch on a few things. The reason that we created a PSRB working group is because we really need to have the Judiciary Committee on board to be able to do that. It's not that we don't agree with your recommendations. I've actually had bills in for the last 2 years to get rid of the PSRB, and they die in judiciary. So we felt it was necessary to have public health, along with others, and the Judiciary Committee review the PSRB and absolutely come up with what would the process be to replace it. What does it look like? But we can't do that in our silo of just public health. And that's one of the reasons why we had thought it best to create another, unfortunately, working group task force to address those issues and to come up with a plan on how do we move this forward. I wish we could snap our fingers and it would be gone tomorrow, but unfortunately, that is not the case. And I do agree, I can't remember with who the speaker was, that the front-loaded system of determining competency has to change. I actually met a young man who was 19 years old, and he was told and his mother he would be there for 60 days. And I was there at one of his PSRB meetings, and he was there for 7 years. And the reason why he was not let out were these archaic rules that we have talked about. I'm going to ask you to speak to those on the lifestyle of someone there signing in and signing out of crafts, or it's absolutely obscene. I couldn't follow the rules. Any normal 19-year-old boy could not follow the rules. They're archaic. I don't know who establishes that, but it's that culture that has to change. Staff morale is a huge issue, and I'm really glad that you touched on that. There's allegations of discriminatory practices based on race. There is bullying. We actually got surveys from years ago that said it was going on. The agency wants to say it's not, but we clearly know that it is. So we can change that by changing who's at the top, by changing the culture, by changing the building, by changing the whole system. And it's not going to be an easy change. No one likes change, but I love change. And this is something that we've got to change. I think everybody can get on board with this, because if any of you on the committee take one visit or even drive by it, you will see what we're talking about.